Oh, okay.
Okay, so we call them good questions versus bad questions. And I recommend a book on this, which is called The Mom Test.
What's that about?
The Mom Test is a great book which really tells you how to do customer discovery and do it right. So
Why
I've
is
got
it called Mom Test?
because you very good question. So normally I would say you need to do 100 people on both sides, but let's start with 10.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start with 10 on both sides.
Welcome back to Bet on Yourself, a live docu-series with Sangeeta Mulchandani where we are building Level Up Lab on screen right in front of you. And so far, we have done a few exercises on problem statement and customer persona. We know who we are targeting. We know who's our potential paying customer. But now we have to get onto the groundwork, which is what Sangeeta is going to tell us about today, which is customer discovery. So thank you, Masi, for coming today again.
You're welcome.
And can you tell us now a little about customer discovery? You mentioned it briefly in the previous episode. What exactly is it? How do I go about?
Yeah, it's a good question. So customer discovery is something we talk a lot about in Startup Land. So it's very different from how traditional businesses are built. So you and I both come from traditional business families. We know how our parents built businesses, right? So they started with, there was a product in mind or a business in mind. They put up a store and they brought those products in, and that's it. The business got started. That's how. And then they would wait for customers to come in and start, selling to those customers. But in today's day and age, and especially with rapid innovation, there's not a lot of space and time for people to just start building products and sitting there and waiting for customers to come in. But this is one of the most common mistakes that most startup founders make as well. Is they think, oh, I've got this great idea. I'm going to go build this product, and then I'm just going to get customers are going to come in and buy from me because you know what, my idea is so great or my product is so great. The reality is you have to co-create with your customer.
Okay.
And to co-create with your customer, you need to deeply understand your customer and deeply understand what is their problem. So while you've sort of assumed what their problem is, you have a hypothesis that you created using the problem statement, using the customer persona. You assume that this is my customer, this is the problem that they have, here is where I can go find them, right? The reality is you might find when you start talking to those customers about their problems, they might explain it in a very different way. Or they might give you things that might be very unique and might give you aha moments that you've never thought of. And this is the process of customer discovery. So you're trying to discover from the customer what the problem is.
Okay. So do I in that case create something like a survey?
So surveys are something that a lot of startup founders tend to create because they feel like, with a survey I can reach out to hundreds of people and they can talk to me. The reality is we do not want hundreds of people talking to you on a survey because a survey creates a lot of bias. Right? So when we say customer discovery, a lot of people feel like, okay, I can just put a questionnaire together and get people to answer it. But customer discovery is about actually standing in front of your customer and talking to them. So it's like the conversation we're having now. If you were to send me a survey and ask me to answer those versus having the conversation we're having now, it will be a very different feel. Like you can ask me questions, you can ask follow-up questions, you can go deeper into certain areas that you may not understand when you're having the conversation. But if you do a survey, surveys are great for quantity, right? Quantitative data, surveys are great. But when you are looking for qualitative data, you're looking for quality information coming out, that's when you want to have conversations.
Okay, but to be able to extract information in a more structured format, I will need to categorize the information that I get out of the conversation, right? So in that case, it somehow becomes similar to a survey, doesn't it?
So what you want to think about is, it is a conversation. So what I usually tell people, how many times have you been stopped on the road by people who are trying to do a survey, right? And, you've
Very
actually
often.
stood there and said, okay, I'm happy to give you 100 answer 100 questions or be there for 20-30 minutes answering a lot of questions.
Yeah, people don't have time for that.
People don't have time for that. And especially when you walk on the street and you see somebody holding that little pad where they're writing things down, you're suddenly like, you know what, mate, I've got to go. I've got other things to do. I don't have time for this. So you don't want that to happen to you. What you're looking for is, like I said, you're trying to co-create with your customers, right? And yes, you need to have structured data at the end of it. But while you're having the conversation, you don't want the other person to feel like you're having that survey kind of a feel around them, right? That environment is a very different environment, whereas a conversation is a very different environment.
Okay.
So what you want to be able to do is you want to be able to give people the space and time to be able to explain things to you, to have that one-on-one conversation with them. The information you gather from that could either be by saying, look, I'm doing this for my business, so can I record what you're saying so I can recall it later? So that way you have information with you, and then later we can use that information and put it into structured formats.
Okay.
Which I will teach you in the next episode, where this is something we call empathy mapping, where we actually use the data that we're receiving from your customers to put it on a nice big whiteboard and understand what the patterns are.
Okay. What do you think about a focus group discussion? Is it the same thing?
Yeah, focus group discussions are great, but then again, you have to consider that people sometimes don't open up in groups, right? They tend to want to conform in a group.
Right,
so if somebody might say something, they'll say, yeah, I agree with that, but you don't get the depth. So I think it's a good mix to have in your customer discovery process. But at the very first stage, which is where you're at, this is the first time you're going to go do customer discovery.
Yeah.
I would highly recommend you actually do one-on-one conversations. And I would say do 10 conversations. Like you've got 2 customer personas, right? You've got a customer, paying customer, and you've got an audience group. So I would say find 10 people. You've done the watering hole, so you sort of know where to find them. Find 10 people in each group and talk to them. Have one-on-one conversations.
Okay.
It is time consuming, but this is the most foundational piece that you can do for your business, because this is what will set the right way for you to go forward. Because if you've got the wrong information or the wrong starting point, then obviously you're going down rabbit holes that don't make sense.
Right. Okay. Is there any specific information that I'm supposed to be trying to extract out of these customers? Like, what are the kind of questions I should ask them?
Yeah, 100%. So I like to classify my customer discovery questions into 2 types.
Okay.
There is validation questions.
Okay.
And then there are discovery questions.
Okay.
So validation questions are, you've made your problem statement, you've created your customer persona. So in a validation question, what you're looking to understand is, are my assumptions right?
Okay.
But when you ask a validation question, you have to be ready for your assumptions to be invalidated.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So it was.
It's like preparing for failure, like you mentioned last time.
Yeah, but it's like also understanding that you're trying to understand and learn, right? So you're trying to understand if what your assumptions are they right or wrong? Then what the other piece is around discovery. So discovery is where you have gaps in your understanding. You're trying to discover, what are the right questions?
Okay.
What are the right things? What are the right problems here? So I don't know about this. Educate me.
Okay.
So those are the kinds of questions you want to ask. And so whether it's validation questions or discovery questions, there are certain rules of thumb to think about. So the questions you're asking need to be open-ended. So no close-ended questions.
Oh, okay.
So we call them good questions versus bad questions. And I recommend a book on this, which is called The Mom Test.
What's that about?
The Mom Test is a great book which really tells you how to do customer discovery and do it right. So
why is it called Mom Test?
Because it's a very good question. So you know how if you went to your mom and you told her, I have this idea, she loves you. She's going to say, oh my God, amazing, great idea, go do it. Right?
Okay.
So the Mom Test is really asking the questions that people are not just going to say yes to. People are not just going to say, yes, I love it, go do it. Oh my God, yes, absolutely. So the Mom Test is asking the hard questions and getting the hard answers from your customers and understanding in the right way what the customer really needs. It's a great book. I highly recommend it. It's pretty small. It's a great read. And I highly recommend going and reading that book. But you've got some of that in my book as well in Start Right, where I've sort of described what sort of questions to ask and what not to ask. So we call them as good questions versus bad questions. Right?
Okay.
And so good questions are questions that are open-ended.
Okay.
You know what are open-ended questions?
Yeah.
What are open-ended?
No yes or no answer questions.
Correct. So they must be qualitative, right? So people need to be able to answer. A lot of these open-ended questions usually start with the word WH. So what, why, who, where. So if you start your questions with those and not do you do this or do you do that.
Oh, okay.
Not would you, right?
Okay.
So it starts with the what, who, where, because you're trying to understand.
So in that case, I do not go to them saying that, okay, this is what I've thought of. What do you think about this? No.
No.
Oh.
So customer discovery is all about the problem, not about your solution.
Okay.
So that's another rule of thumb, right?
So then I can't even go and tell them, do you have this problem? No, I have to ask them, how will we start?
So let's say with entrepreneurs, right? So with entrepreneurs, what you're thinking about is you're thinking of entrepreneurs being able to do founder-led marketing.
Yeah.
Right? So for them to be able to come and find audience groups that are in a particular
Hmm.
particular age group that they want to reach.
Hmm.
That's your assumption.
Hmm.
What you need to go out there and say is, okay, hey, tell me today, how do you reach customers in
Oh,
this
like
age group?
that. Okay.
What have been some of the things that you've tried in the past?
Ah, okay.
What are some things that you are going to be doing in the next 2 days?
Yeah.
Okay, so again, one of the things we talk about is not future based questions, right? So
Mhm.
not questions like, what do you think you will do?
In the future. Okay.
Yeah, but in the next 2 days, are you doing anything that you're going to be able to reach these people? So
Okay.
you're going to keep it very present to the now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it has to be either the past or the present.
Okay.
You don't ask future based questions.
Okay.
So questions like, oh, would you pay $100 to somebody to do marketing for you?
Right. Okay.
Because that is a would you question. That is a hypothetical question.
Hmm.
So no hypothetical questions.
Hmm.
Because hypothetical questions means people will say yes, but they will not end up doing it.
Yeah.
Right? But you can ask, what have you paid someone in the past to do marketing for you? Or to do founder-led marketing for you?
Okay.
Because that gives you behavior.
There's also one fact that not many are aware of the importance of founder-led marketing or how it can help them these days. So
Maybe that's a question to ask.
yeah,
What do you think about founder-led marketing? Have you heard of it before?
yeah, that's what.
Right? And is it something that you would like to do? But again, that's a future-based question, right? So what have you done in the past to do some founder-led marketing?
Or do you see the value in it? Do you see other people
No,
doing
so
it as
do
of
you
now?
is again a
Oh, yeah.
close-ended, right? So this is the hard part, and this is why. So there are these 5 rules of thumb that I'm going to tell you. So first is no future-based questions,
Okay.
only present or the past.
Hmm.
No close-ended questions.
Hmm.
Start your questions with a WH.
Hmm.
They are the good questions to have, right? And you want to have you want to talk about things that you want to uncover behavior. So ask yourself when you make your customer questionnaire, are you uncovering behavior?
Okay.
Right? And then the 5th rule of thumb, which is the most important, is no discussion about the solution.
Right. Okay.
Only talking about the
The
problem.
problem. Okay.
Okay?
But then validation questions
Yeah.
will include a bit of the solution, no?
No.
No.
Because you've not even talked about the solution. You've only spoken problem
about
statement.
the challenges,
Right? You're
right?
talking about problem statement. So what you want to do is you've created a hypothesis of the problem statement of the persona. Now you want to go and validate if this is the actual problem or not.
Hmm.
Forget the solution.
Hmm.
The solution will come later. And I know you're already building Level Up Lab, or you're thinking, oh my God, this is my solution.
Hmm.
But this is the problem that most entrepreneurs have: is they come with a ready idea
Hmm.
and they build a solution and then they go sell it.
Hmm.
What we're doing is actually going back to the customer and saying, do you even have a problem?
Right. Okay.
What is the problem?
Does this need to be done at different stages of the business? Like at every stage, maybe in suppose every 2 years, you do a customer discovery and see if anything's changed in the market, if the needs have changed, if the challenges have changed.
Not
Are you
every
still
2
solving
years, you
for
do
it?
it every month.
So
So customer discovery is never ending, right? Because you want customers all the time. You don't
Yeah.
want to just end your business in 1 month or 2 months.
Yeah.
So you need customers all the time, which means that you need to be talking to your customers all the time.
Hmm.
It's what you do the customer discovery about can change because you're probably evolving the business, and it could be about a particular initiative or a particular project, or it might be different. But right now you're doing is about just the business. Is the business even needed?
Yeah.
Is this model even viable? Is this something I need to build, or is this already something that people are solving for themselves and they're not seeing value in this? Right? So what you're trying to understand is, what are these high value problems that people are experiencing that they're willing to pay for? But you're not going to ask them, are you willing to pay for this? You are just
Okay.
trying to really understand what the problem is today. We will do another round of customer discovery, which is when you're starting to think about solution, you will go back and do customer discovery around the solution as well.
Oh, okay.
But right now, the focus is the problem.
Okay. This is going to be a long process.
Business is a journey, and I keep saying this all the time to you, but it's not an overnight thing. But the reality is, if you're doing it, like I said before, if you're doing it to serve your customer, you need to understand that it needs to come from that place. It needs to come from a place of, I really want to understand what their problem is, and I really want to build something that is going to solve the problem, not just something that I find fun.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh. Okay, so first we started with the founder part of it, where we first discovered what we do find fun.
Yeah.
But now we're going out and seeing if that's actually something that people will pay for or not.
Correct. So remember the sweet
Okay.
spot and
Yeah.
the 3 elements of it. One of those elements is, do people need it?
Needed, yeah.
So we don't want to know if
that
people
part.
want it. We want to know if people need it. And today, if that need is not being met in the
Yeah.
market, then you've got an opening in the market. You've got an opportunity that you can capitalize.
Okay. Okay, we can do this. All right. I was going through the same chapter in your book, and I did make some notes. I'll just check if there are any questions. Nope. I think we are good. Yeah, we're good. So thank you. Next week or this coming week, I'm going to do a little customer discovery. So you said 10 people for each segment.
Yeah.
And after that, what are we going to touch on?
So ideally, I would say 100 people is what you do customer discovery for. Because what you're looking for is you're looking for enough number of people to have data points and do some patterns around these data points. But given you're getting started, let's do 10 first and come back and see what they're saying before we go into more.
Okay.
Usually after about 20, 25 people, you start seeing the patterns become very incremental. They're not shape-shifting, but the initial first 20, 25 conversations, you will start seeing distinct patterns coming out. You will start seeing aha moments, things that you just didn't know, about your customer. You will learn a lot. After 20, 25, the learning becomes very incremental. It becomes very minimal. So this is why I say the 20-25 mark is a really good spot to stop with your customer discovery at the problem stage. But let's do 10 on each side first. See what they're saying, map out the patterns. We'll do a bit of empathy mapping in the next episode to see what patterns are coming out.
Okay.
But then in the meantime, you will also learn so much more that you will start understanding, am I asking the right questions? What sort of questions should I be asking better?
Yeah.
Where can I go deeper? What problem do I not fully understand? I need to understand more about my customer.
Okay.
Right? So let's do 10 on each. So that's your homework.
Okay.
And then do it with the team because obviously, you don't have to do it all yourself.
Yeah.
Divide and conquer.
Yes.
But once you come back, then we can sit down and analyze that information. And then maybe I'll send you to do more customer discovery. Or if you've got something more concrete, we can move on to the next step. But let's see how we go.
Okay, cool. Thank you for today.
You're welcome.
Thanks for joining in. We will tell you how that goes and we'll show you how that goes before we get into the next episode with Sangeeta. See you next week.
Good luck.